Davis said in his opening press conference he didn't want to play center. Well, guess what, Anthony Davis? Every good power forward that plays with LeBron James, Chris Bosh, Kevin Love, plays center, spaces out in the corner. So do I think he'll be better? Do I think he'll use his motivation? Of course. That's what the best do.
Right.
Do I think that ends up in a championship? I don't. I think it's a flawed roster, and I think he's 35. He can't do the things that he used to do at both ends of the floor.
I agree with much of that. I would add this to the thing that concerns me about LeBron's tweet and the promise of ether and the fire emojis and you've played with the throne. One, it plays into my narrative that LeBron thinks of himself as royalty, but more than anything, the ether and the appearance of anger. Anger is not the right emotion for LeBron James. We saw it after the decision in his first year with the Miami Heat.
Great point.
And it ate him up. And he had to come back the next year and reinvest in joy and the proper emotion that drives LeBron James. Again, the AAU tape screams, this dude loves basketball and takes a lot of joy in it. That's his emotion. If he taps into anger, I think it works against him. I don't think he's got Kobe's mentality, Michael Jordan's mentality. He's got a different mentality. And then the number one reason why I think it's going to blow up in his face is because what's inside that Staples Center building sharing it with him. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Doc Rivers, Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams, Patrick Beverly, Jerry West, Lawrence Frank. All that is just going to be too much. He's already a little angry and feels victimized, and then he's going to be in the same building with what I believe will be the best team in the NBA that has a championship coach. And I think that's going to eat him up and frustrate him because the other thing we've seen when LeBron gets frustrated, he will tap out. He will tap out. That's part of LeBron's history, and I think that's what's going to happen.
I don't think it's fair to LeBron to say that when he responds in tweet and says ether is coming, that is anger being shown. You know, because I think a lot of times we say how we would feel if we were in that position. I know if you doubt me and I'm still at the top, I'm just in remind mode. Like, oh, all I got to do is do me, and I'm going to remind y'all because obviously the narrative has gotten away from my actual production and contribution. So LeBron is probably sitting back saying, if I didn't get injured last year, which is a part of aging, it was a part of the team construction, how he has to play himself and manage his minutes, but LeBron is sitting there with a ton of confidence. It's not like he has to reach for another rung to become something that reminds us of his greatness. Just play it through, play it out. And just a couple years ago, he was able to play for the first and only time 82 games. I think LeBron is looking at this situation like, look, upstairs, Rob Pelinka and all them other guys, that's not David Griffin. Rob Pelinka is not going to sit there and cry in anxiety after winning a championship, saying, oh, Lord, the stress is going to get to us. They're going to be elated in joy because the Lakers brand will be restored. So I just think LeBron is playing with different variables in a positive way, not like he was even in Cleveland.
I'm going to tell you the variable he's not playing with that he was when he was 27, 28, 29. He's a liability defensively. He can't.
He was the ultimate.
You got to choose.
He was the ultimate Swiss Army knife before. Additionally, look, the league has changed. Okay, the idea that you're going to play iso ball and he'll invite to double team. That's not. Everything's ball screen and spacing and pace and space. And that's not how he plays. That's not how he's ever played. So he's caught a little bit in between eras in the NBA. And he's not the same defensively. And look, I don't wish injury upon anybody, especially one of the great players in the history of the sport.
Right.
But when you're 35 and you don't get less hurt, you get hurt more often. Right? Like anybody,
and it takes longer to come back.
Right? Anybody, like, it's a hamstring, it's a groin this year, it's a hamstring next year. It gets worse and it gets worse. And they're gonna need him. I think it's fascinating. You have the arrogance of the Lakers, of the King, and then you have the Clippers, who are the third tenant in their own building. There's no banners up in there at all, and yet you have a guy with championship pedigree, probably the best player in the sport, in Kawhi Leonard, choosing them over the Lakers. Like, that whole thing is amazing, and how they emotionally handle that, it's going to be fascinating. But I think we're still kind of missing the point. Did David Griffin say anything that we didn't already know or think or other people hadn't said, and yet we're acting like it's profound? I guess it's only because it's an insider.
When it comes from a general manager, that adds a lot of legitimacy to what others have said.
I don't know why he said it.
It's more significant. Well, I think because I don't know why people were upset, particularly journalists, that he said it. You know, as journalists, I like for people to be transparent and honest and say interesting things. And so I don't get why, you know, people are, he better go on TV and clarify. I don't buy that. I think he said it. Phil Jackson said some things about Kobe Bryant in a book shortly after working with him that were critical. And, you know, that I didn't see, and again, Kobe was in a different spot. He was coming, it wasn't long after Colorado and things like that. But I didn't see this blind worship of how dare you say there were some problems working with Kobe. Kobe's a human being. There's some problems working with him. Phil Jackson talked about him. David Griffin's doing the same thing. I will just go back to, again, LeBron's personality. And I say this as a positive. That dude naturally is positive energy. Again, he may misdirect it. He may, but he is positive energy. And if he tries to go negative energy, it's not going to work. And then I don't think, and again, I don't mean this as an insult, because it's not. He's a positive person. He's not a fighter. And I think Kawhi Leonard has come to L.A. like, oh, I'm ready to fight. I'm a fighter. Yeah. My personality, oh, you want some combat? Let's do it. Smoke. And I don't think that's going to work well for LeBron. I don't think he's ever been challenged in the way the Clippers are about to. And Kawhi, backed up by Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams and Patrick Beverly, just the mentality of that team. All a bunch of dogs. The mentality of that team in a good way, yes. Versus Anthony Davis and LeBron.
Yeah, but is that, you know, my favorite sport, track and field. Yeah. It's two things you can't do is get psyched out, meaning don't lose the race before you even start it. And sometimes that can happen. Lane 1, Marcellus White. Lane 2, Usain Bolt. Oh, damn. You know what I mean? So you can't be LeBron looking in the other lane saying Kawhi over there. Oh, God. And I don't think LeBron's mental makeup would even let him give Kawhi that much credit. Second thing you can't do is peak. It's like you run your own race. I don't think that the Clippers is really going to take too much away from LeBron's motivation or get in his vision. You know why? LeBron came here as soon as he landed, had some missteps, his own misdoings, and then they reminded him quickly, this is Kobe's town. Always will be. And defaced the mural, everything. LeBron was never in a race for L.A. He never even got a fair chance. He never gave himself a chance by his own misdoing. So I don't think that now that he's going to say, I'm going to run L.A. because the Clippers are here.
He has basically participated in the whole LeBron versus Michael Jordan.
Oh, yeah. He said it's over.
Yeah, he's participated
it's
in
over.
it. Right. And so he's concerned about narrative. No athlete tries to manipulate and control the narrative. Rich Paul's, if we could get in his phone right now to see all the calls he made last night trying to control this narrative. And so when that Clippers narrative and Kawhi and what they have starts taking off, that envy, and what it'll say about LeBron if this guy leads a third team to a title, that's something LeBron hasn't done. I just think human nature is going to take over, and LeBron doesn't like losing the narrative war, and he pays a lot of attention to it.
I'd also be interested. I just want to know, like, look, do I think it motivates him to answer your initial question? It has to. Has to. He's a champion at the end of the day.
Right.
I don't believe he's the greatest player of all time, but it has to motivate him. The question is, at 35 years old, with a changing NBA, with a coach who's never coached him in it, and never coached a championship team, never coached him a day in his life, and a team that does not have perfect personnel, and you have all the other teams. We're not even talking about the Jazz or the Rockets. We'll see what the Warriors look like. I mean, there's other teams, the Nuggets, the Trailblazers, like, it's not a full frontal assault from just the Clippers. It's everybody in the West coming at you. This ain't the East anymore. And at 35, can you dial it up when it's called upon? I think the answer is we'll have to find out.
Stick around. Later in the show, we'll give you our latest approval ratings for LeBron, and Uncle Jimmy will tell us what he thinks of the Lakers star. And jump on Twitter right now to vote on what you think LeBron's approval rating should be. We'll reveal it later in the show. Also coming up, Carmelo Anthony is campaigning for another shot in the NBA, and boy, was I impressed with Melo. We'll talk about that next. And don't forget to check us out on the Fox Sports channel on SiriusXM.